Have you ever looked into someone's eyes, not just casually, but with full presence? And in that one still moment, the world quieted? It wasn't just attraction. It wasn't about charm. It was something deeper, a silent recognition of two souls briefly meeting, acknowledging, and then parting. No words exchanged, but something inside you changed. Now here's the question most men never stop to ask. What if the power to shape how she sees you has nothing to do with what you say and everything to do with how you see? We live in an age obsessed with noise. Loud personalities, quick swipes, empty compliments shouted across the digital void. But somewhere deep within you, there's a hunger, not for more noise, but for something real, something ancient, something quietly powerful. That's what we're unlocking today. This isn't another video about flirting tricks or pickup tactics. No, this is about cultivating a kind of gaze so grounded, so present, so rooted in self-mastery, that when you lock eyes with her, she doesn't see a line. She sees a man who doesn't chase attention, because he already carries within him the rarest currency of all, inner stillness. The Stoics knew this power. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When your inner world is calm, focused, and intentional, it shows, especially in your eyes. Because the gaze is more than biology. It's biography. It's a story you're telling without speaking. And if you've done the work, that story becomes unforgettable. In this video, we're going to explore what makes a gaze magnetic, not through manipulation, but through mastery. You'll learn how to unlock presence, signal intention, and create a silent connection that speaks louder than any pickup line ever could. This isn't about impressing. It's about expressing your calm, your curiosity, your quiet confidence. And by the end, you'll not only understand the psychology and philosophy behind this kind of presence, you'll know exactly how to embody it. So if you're tired of being overlooked, of feeling like you're performing instead of connecting, stay with me. Because the answer isn't louder talk. It's a deeper gaze. And it all begins in silence. If you're drawn to this kind of insight, I invite you to subscribe to Stoic now, where we explore what it truly means to live with presence, purpose, and unshakable calm in a restless world. Now let's begin. Number 1. Why most men are invisible, and they don't even know it. The truth is harsh, but freeing once you face it. Most men are not ignored because they're unattractive. They're ignored because they feel invisible even to themselves. We live in a world of distracted men, eyes darting to screens, posture folded inwards, energy scattered across 1,000 unspoken worries. And when they enter a room, they don't carry themselves, they carry hesitation, indecision, a desire to be seen, but no sense of who is doing the seeing. That's why eye contact feels awkward for so many. It's not the gaze itself that feels vulnerable. It's the fear that when someone looks back, they'll see there's nothing behind it. But let's turn that around. Imagine a man who walks into a room not searching for validation, but simply existing, fully. A man who doesn't broadcast neediness, but radiates composure. His eyes don't dart, they land. And when he looks at you, it's not a performance. It's a presence. That kind of gaze doesn't come from technique. It comes from inner alignment. And that's where the Stoics were centuries ahead of modern psychology. Epictetus taught, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." What if we took that literally, even in the smallest moments, like a glance across the room? What if you held your gaze the way a king holds a room, without demand, without fear, without needing to impress? The problem most men face isn't that they can't get attention. It's that the attention they get is fleeting, forgettable. Why? Because they're not rooted. Their gaze says, "Do you like me?" instead of "Here I am." So let me ask you this. What message is your presence sending when you say nothing at all? Most men spend years learning how to speak, but few ever learn how to see. To hold eye contact not with tension, but with relaxed conviction. To let their presence be felt before their voice is even heard. And the irony? When you stop chasing attention, it often comes on its own. Not because you reached out, but because you drew in, with nothing but your gaze. And that's the first shift, from invisible to undeniable. Number 2. The gaze that grounds her, not grabs her. There's a difference, an important one, between seeking attention and commanding it. To seek is to reach outward, to fidget, to chase. But to command is to remain still. It is to allow your presence to do the speaking, while your gaze holds space, not pressure. Women feel the difference immediately. One type of gaze makes her want to step back. The other? It makes her pause, not because she's impressed, but because she senses something in you that most men don't carry. Stillness. In a chaotic world, a calm presence is rare, and in the eyes of a man, it becomes magnetic. This isn't about intensity. In fact, it's the opposite. A powerful gaze doesn't come from a tight jaw or a furrowed brow. It comes from relaxed certainty, the kind that doesn't just look at her, but sees her, not as a prize, not as a puzzle, but as a person. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up if thou wilt ever dig." That applies here more than ever, because what she feels in your eyes is not the hunger of need, but the clarity of self-respect. This kind of gaze isn't easy to fake because it doesn't originate in the muscles of your face. It comes from something more difficult to cultivate: alignment. When your thoughts, posture, and breath are all moving in the same direction, calmly, slowly, purposefully, that's when your eyes begin to speak a different language, the language of groundedness. Now, let's bring this to life. Picture this. You're in a crowded cafe. Conversations hum around you. Someone walks in, and you feel their presence before you even see them. When your eyes finally meet, they don't flinch. They don't dart. They don't smirk. They hold the moment, not to control it, but to honor it. And somehow, that single moment holds more weight than all the words being thrown around that room. That's the gaze we're talking about. To a woman who's constantly surrounded by surface-level gestures, one moment of deep, unhurried eye contact is like a breath of fresh air. Because in it, she feels something ancient. Not just attraction, but attention. Not possession, but presence. And more than anything, safety. Not the kind that comes from dominance, but the kind that arises from a man who has nothing to prove. The kind of safety that says, "I know who I am. I see who you are. And I'm not afraid to stay in this moment with you." Most men try to be memorable by what they say, but the rarest men, they're remembered for how they looked at her. Number 3, still eyes, strong soul. How to master the unforgettable gaze. Powerful eye contact isn't learned in front of a woman. It's earned long before, alone, in silence, in stillness, in self-observation. You can't fake a gaze that carries weight, because a gaze, by its very nature, is a reflection of the soul behind it. And that's where practice begins, not in trying to look confident, but in becoming someone worth seeing. So let's talk about how. First, the mirror. Not to admire, but to study. To understand what others see when you look at them, not just your features, but your energy. Stand in front of it. Look directly into your own eyes for 60 seconds. No distractions. No adjusting your posture. Just look. You'll notice something strange at first. Discomfort. Restlessness. Maybe even judgment. That's normal, because you're not just looking at your reflection, you're facing your presence. And if it's scattered or self-critical, your gaze will carry that energy into every conversation you have. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." That mirror moment, that's where your imagined flaws rise up. And that's where you begin the real work, not to erase them, but to accept them without fear. Because once you can hold eye contact with yourself, you stop flinching when someone else truly sees you. Second, slow the blink. It may seem small, but our eyes betray our nervous system. Rapid blinking, darting glances, they signal anxiety. But when you slow your blink, breathe through your belly, and remain open instead of reactive, your entire gaze softens. It says, "I'm not bracing. I'm here." And finally, focus on feeling, not performance. Don't try to look confident. Instead, feel grounded. Imagine your feet rooted to the floor. Imagine your chest open, not puffed out. When you look into her eyes, don't try to penetrate, try to receive, to witness, to listen, even when no words are being spoken. That's when connection happens. Because a gaze is not about you, it's a bridge. And if you've done the work to quiet your mind, the moment she looks back, she'll feel it. Not every woman will notice, and not every moment calls for it. But when the time comes, and you meet someone whose spirit matches your own, you won't need lines, games, or strategies. You'll just need one steady look, and it will say everything. Number 4, how to master it. Practical steps and techniques. You don't build an unforgettable gaze in front of her. You build it when you're alone. in silence, in discomfort, in front of a mirror that doesn't lie. Because this isn't about eye contact. It's about self-contact. Before you can hold her gaze with calm confidence, you have to face the one pair of eyes you've been avoiding all along, your own. So here's where it begins. Step 1. Meet yourself in stillness. Stand in front of a mirror, not to fix your hair or adjust your angle, but to simply be. Look into your own eyes for 1 full minute. No movement, no distraction. You'll notice your body start to twitch. Your mind will race to judge or escape. That's the noise. Let it pass. This practice isn't to boost confidence. It's to reclaim presence. Because once you can sit with yourself, without shame or self-editing, you'll stop looking away when others try to see you. Step 2. Slow the blink. Most men don't realize their eyes are constantly in motion, blinking fast, scanning, reacting. This signals tension. It betrays uncertainty. But when you slow your blink and soften your gaze, you instantly shift how others feel around you. Slower blinking suggests calm, control, safety, and in neuroscience, that matters. Slower blinks cue parasympathetic response, the body's rest and digest mode. When she sees you embody that, her nervous system mirrors it. She feels safer, more grounded, even intrigued. Step 3. Practice the pause before the look. When you sense her across the room, or even in conversation, don't immediately lock eyes. Instead, become aware of your own breath first. Ground yourself. Then, turn and let your gaze meet hers, not with intensity, but with presence. No need to smirk. No need to hold for too long. Just meet. Breathe. Let her feel that you're not projecting desire. You're inviting awareness. Step 4. Use the eye contact triangle. This simple technique balances warmth and intrigue. Gently shift your gaze between one eye, the other, then to the lips and back to the eyes. Done subtly and slowly, it communicates interest without tension. It's not about seduction, it's about rhythm. Think of it as visual listening. You're paying attention without needing to fill the silence. Step 5. Walk like your eyes are already speaking. Your posture and movement are extensions of your gaze. The more tension you carry in your body, the more strained your eye contact will feel. Soften your jaw. Drop your shoulders. Move with economy. Let your body say, I don't need to rush. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. When you've done that work, your eyes will carry the echo of that retreat, and she will feel it before you ever speak. Number 5. When and how to use it without being creepy. Presence becomes power only when it's timed with wisdom. Because let's be honest, eye contact, when misused, can backfire. Quickly, not every moment invites a gaze. Not every environment is meant for it. And not every look needs to linger. This is where many men fail, not in their intention, but in their awareness. They hold the gaze too long, too early, with too much tension. It feels forced, performed. It shifts from connection to discomfort. But the man who understands context, the man who reads the room, not just the rules, he's the one who makes eye contact feel safe, even magnetic. Here's how. Start with energetic calibration. Before you even meet her eyes, ask yourself, am I grounded? Are you holding eye contact from stillness or from hunger, from appreciation or from need? Because if you're reaching, she'll feel it. If you're offering, she'll relax. The Stoics called this inner preparation. Epictetus said, first, learn the meaning of what you say, and then speak. In this case, first, know the energy you're sending, then look. Next, choose the right moment. Context is everything. A passing glance at a bookstore, a brief, calm connection in a quiet coffee shop. These are organic moments. Low stakes, natural. But in a crowded club, when alcohol is in the air and tension is high, a long, locked gaze may come off as pressure, not presence. Don't impose. Invite. If she glances back and holds, it's an open door. If she looks away with tension in her body, respect the signal. You're not being rejected. You're being redirected. And finally, learn the art of the release. A powerful gaze knows when to arrive and when to let go. You don't need to hold eye contact for 30 seconds to make it count. Often, it's the gentle release that leaves the deepest impression. A half second longer than expected. A soft, almost imperceptible nod. Then, you return to your world, not to manipulate her reaction, but to show her you're not waiting on it. That's what separates the practiced from the present, the creepy from the composed. Because ultimately, an unforgettable gaze doesn't say, I want you. It says, I'm fully here, whether you join me or not. And that presence, it's more rare and more desirable than anything you could try to perform. Number 6, the X factor, adding emotion to the gaze. Technique may steady your eyes, but only emotion gives them life. Without it, the gaze becomes cold, empty. It might be composed, even impressive, but it won't linger. It won't leave a mark. Because what makes a gaze unforgettable isn't just the calmness, it's the color behind the calm. A subtle warmth, a flicker of curiosity, a sense of admiration not spoken, but silently offered. This is the part no one teaches, because you can't fake it. Emotion isn't something you layer on top of your gaze. It's what naturally radiates when you're actually connected to her, yes, but first, to your own aliveness. That's the X factor. And here's the secret. It's not intensity, it's attunement. Think of your gaze like music. The notes might be the same, but it's the emotion in the playing that makes it unforgettable. Are you conveying stillness or sadness? Curiosity or craving? Comfort or need? She can feel the difference. Because women don't just read faces, they read resonance. So how do you cultivate this emotional presence? First, feel something real. Before you look at her, pause. Take one conscious breath and let yourself feel, not desire, not strategy, but presence, wonder, appreciation. You're not looking at her like a target. You're seeing her like a mirror. And when that happens, your gaze softens, not in weakness, but in humanity. Second, relax the face, not the soul. A strong gaze doesn't mean blankness. It means availability. It means your eyes reflect what's true in that moment, without overexposing and without hiding. You can be playful. You can be amused. You can even be quiet and contemplative. But whatever you are, be it fully. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When your inner world is rich, calm, and curious, your gaze carries that color. And she will notice, not because she sees performance, but because, for one brief moment, she sees you. And maybe, just maybe, she feels seen too. That's the kind of gaze that stays in her memory. Not because it asked for attention, but because it gave something rarer. Emotion, stillness, presence, and a glimpse of the kind of man who knows himself deeply enough to look into her soul without flinching. So now you know, it was never about seduction. It was never about dominance or tactics or the right combination of words. The unforgettable gaze. It was always about presence. Because in the end, people don't remember what you wore. They don't remember the clever things you said. What they remember, what lingers quietly in their memory, is how you made them feel in silence. And nothing creates that silence more powerfully than a gaze that is calm, warm, alive, and unwavering. If you've made it this far, that means something in you is ready to live differently. Not louder, but deeper. Maybe you're tired of being overlooked, not just by women, but by life itself. Tired of feeling like the world doesn't really see you. But here's the truth Stoicism teaches us. You can't control how others respond. You can only control who you are when the moment comes. So become the man who is ready for the moment. Not by waiting for her to look back, but by learning to meet your own gaze, day after day, until there's nothing left to run from. You do that, and your presence will begin to change. Strangers will feel it. Friends will notice it. She'll sense it, not because you're trying to show it, but because you've become it. This isn't the end of a video. It's a doorway, a small shift in how you see the world, and how the world begins to see you. So here's what you can do now. Pushpin, go practice the mirror exercise tonight. Just 60 seconds. No judgment, just presence. Pushpin, try slowing your blink in your next conversation. See how your energy shifts. Pushpin, and when the moment comes, when your eyes meet hers, don't force it. Don't flinch. Let your gaze say the one thing most men are too afraid to live out loud. I'm here, fully. If this video spoke to something quiet but strong inside you, subscribe to Stoic now. Not for more tricks, but for the journey. A journey back to presence, to discipline, to depth. And if you feel like sharing, drop a thought in the comments. Your story, your struggle, your moment of truth. Not because you need to be heard, but because someone else might need to feel not alone. This channel is for those who walk the quieter path. The men who've stopped shouting and started listening. not just to others, but to themselves. And if you ever doubt the power of a simple gaze, just remember, the eye is the only part of your soul that the world can see without needing a single word. If something inside you felt stiller, stronger, or more awake as you watched this, I invite you to subscribe to Stoic now, not out of habit, not for the algorithm, but as a quiet commitment to yourself, to keep returning to the kind of wisdom that centers you, sharpens you, and steadies your presence in a chaotic world. And if today's message struck a chord, share it. Drop a comment, not to perform, but to connect. Share what part of this spoke to you most, or when in your life you felt the weight or the lack of real presence. You never know who else might read your story and realize they're not alone. On this channel, we're not building an audience. We're building a space for men who choose calm over chaos, depth over distraction, and clarity over noise. So stay with us, because presence isn't something you visit once. It's something you return to again and again until it becomes who you are. Subscribe, comment, reflect, return. We'll be here